Hello everyone and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, the show where Tennille and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. I'm Whitney.
I'm Tennille.
And today we are taking a look at the 1980 film, The Secret of the Marabou Cipher is one of the English titles for it.
Right.
Because this is a Polish film, our first Polish film, in fact. Mm-hmm. So that's really cool.
And from everything that I could see, it looks like this is in fact the first Polish animated film. There are some shorts and stuff that come before it, such as Appel and Dom, which I don't think we've seen either of those. The problem with looking up
neither of those sound familiar.
Yeah, the problem with looking up Polish animated films on Wikipedia is that even this film doesn't really show up because this film doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I was able to see like a list of some Polish animated films, but like this one's not even on there because it doesn't have a page or even a suggestion of a page. So as far as I could tell, I think this is the first Polish animated film.
I mean, that lines up with what I've looked at on our list, at least. I didn't see any other Polish films before this one that we haven't found.
Right.
So I think this is literally the first one. So that's neat. I want to say thank you to Spiritalia for finding and then translating this movie for us. And in fact, they didn't do it alone. They had help from their mother, who speaks some Polish.
Right, yeah. So thank you very much. We obviously would not have been able to watch this movie without you and your mom's help. Overall, I thought this movie was fine.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. I'm going to ask you a question. Is this based on a pre-existing franchise?
So, I'm not sure if it's a franchise. I couldn't find anything that linked me to, like, a grander franchise going on.
Okay.
But the setup with these characters and everything, it definitely feels like a franchise.
It feels like these are characters that we should know from a TV series or maybe a book series or something like that.
What it actually really reminds me of, and I'm guessing a lot of our younger viewers might not know what this is at all, and I don't even know if you're familiar with this, but it reminds me of an old cartoon show called, like, Busy Town, or The Busy World of Richard Scarry or whatever, where it's just like an environment where it's like a town full of animal people, and like the setup is that you just kind of observe things going on in this town of people. So it has like a huge cast of characters that like you just hop in at any point and you're watching said cast of characters all the time.
Okay, yeah. Don't think I've ever heard of that. The second title with like the dude's name, that sounded a little more familiar.
That it's got like a cat that wears like red overalls, and it always starts with like a worm who's flying a helicopter around the town in an apple or something like that.
Okay.
Am I unlocking memories?
The apple helicopter. Definitely recognize that.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are some deep set memories that you're going to have to unearth farther to get anything out of me. But that's not what we're here for.
No. It's just, it's that kind of setting where I feel like this is just a cast of characters that can be put in, like, any situation. And, you know, sometimes it's not always about, like, the cat and this mouse rat companion who are detectiving in the story. Sometimes maybe it's about one of the other characters or something, you know?
Yeah. I don't know. How about we do a plot synopsis?
Go ahead.
So, Gloosh is kidnapped. Who is Gloosh?
I don't know.
This is Gloosh. I don't know what kind of animal Gloosh is. He looks vaguely human, which is weird because they are all small animals. Like, they're all the same size, but it's like spiders and cats and mice maybe, and rabbit and bugs, and they're all just like the same size as each other, so I have no idea what Gloosh is.
I have no idea what most of these animals are supposed to be.
Okay,
like, some of them I'm like, okay, bug. But, like, the very first character we see is this little elephant dog?
He's a librarian. I don't know what kind of animal he is, but he looks vaguely like an elephant, but I don't know what he is because an elephant just doesn't seem right.
Could be a dog.
Uh-huh.
Could be a dog.
I don't know what he is. Anyways, Gloosh has been kidnapped, so it's up to this detective Sherlock Holmes mouse?
Dog?
He doesn't have ears, so that really makes it difficult to tell what animal it's supposed to be.
Yeah. My instinct says mouse, but...
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Him and his partner, who's definitely not his husband.
They were roommates.
They are roommates.
Uh-huh.
And it's this dog or mouse with the partner of a cat.
Yeah, the cat, I know. That's definitely a cat.
Well, yeah, it's a cat, and they refer to it as a cat multiple times in the movie. Anyways, they are the detective duo that are going to figure out why Gloosh was captured and who did it and stuff. And so there's a bunch of townspeople. I'll get to them later. They don't really matter a whole lot.
No.
Ultimately, Gloosh is fine. He comes back by himself and he's like, yeah, I got kidnapped by an eagle who lives in the woods and is ostracized by our community, but I'm going to be nice to him.
The eagle wants to see Gloosh's films?
Well, he kidnapped him to entertain his 3 sons while he went off to do something else.
Yeah.
That's why he kidnapped him, but he kidnapped him because he assumed that no one would help him.
Uh-huh.
Is what I'm getting from this, because they don't like the eagle for some reason.
Yeah.
Because this is a community of people that don't like
outsiders?
foreigners.
Eagles? I don't know.
It's something to that extent.
Yeah.
So Gloosh is like, yeah, I'll help them. So he gets some film stuff and tells everybody that he's safe, and he goes back out into the woods and he helps these eagle children out by entertaining them and then just being a nice person.
Yeah.
Cool, that's good, that's awesome. So there's a pink mole lady.
Yeah.
I don't know what she is.
She's got, like, it's probably a mole.
I want to say mole, but I don't know what she is, but she's pink.
Right.
And she's like Gloosh's best friend, possible girlfriend. They don't really specify, but she cares a lot more about Gloosh than anybody else in this movie. So she goes out into the woods because she's like, he's been out there for a really long time. And then she gets knocked out by an evil chameleon.
This chameleon comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, just suddenly there's a chameleon and it's evil and it can transform into anything. Not just change its colors, but like literally transform into objects or people.
Right.
So it takes the place of this mole lady and it throws her in the lake.
I thought he killed her.
To dispose of the body.
Right.
Turns out she's fine.
Yeah, she's fine.
But like she was literally dumped in the lake to die.
Right.
Good thing there was an animate cog character there to catch her.
Which just throws the whole, like, okay, are they supposed to be animals at all? Or are they just, like...
Whatever.
Are they, like, where the wild things are? Just random things?
I don't know.
You know?
Either way, the chameleon really wants to get the eagle because the eagle has a specific piece of paper that apparently shows the weakness of what the chameleon is.
Right.
That's the overarching plot. That is the Marabouta, aka the Marabou Cipher, is this piece of paper that shows the weakness of the chameleon. Why is this movie about this? This isn't actually really brought up until the last 5 minutes of the movie.
I think, honestly, your explanation, your little plot synopsis here has made things more clear for me than it was watching the movie.
Oh, it was very clear that you had no idea what was going on while watching the film.
I had no idea what was going on.
Because you're constantly like, why is he jumping off a cliff? And I'm like, well, it's because the chameleon just ruined his relationship. And you're like,
what?
Oh, what? And I'm like, that literally happened a minute ago, Tennille.
There's so many characters. It was hard to keep track of what was going on. And there's, like...
Because I've not even mentioned half of the cast at this point, and they're all doing things all the time, and most of it just doesn't matter.
No, and like, I feel like a lot of my problem with this is that I was trying to understand the motivations of this stuff for the scene that was happening like 5 minutes ago, but we're like moved on past that point, so I'm just lost.
I really didn't think it was that confusing, but okay. Anyways, So every important cast member gets together and they have to figure out who the chameleon is because the chameleon is in their midst. They just know it, pretending to be someone.
Right.
So they hold a talent contest and the chameleon fails because they can't do things. They can only copycat.
Right. They can't create their own art or create anything themselves. They can only copy others.
Yeah, and so that's the kind of the conceit of the film. But
Right.
we'll get there. Anyways, they chase him around this boat for a bit, and then they chase him into the water where he dissolves, and he's dead.
Yeah.
The chameleon dissolves in the water and dies. So we get to the end of the movie, and they talk about how the fact that the Marabou Cipher shows that the chameleon is trying to pour a vase out, but getting nothing out of it because they cannot create. They can only copycat and imitate others, showing that they are therefore lesser than people that create their own things. And like, I guess there's some level of truth to that.
But but that kind of message has also been so overblown, where you have like a whole culture of people who are like, oh no, like especially in the art world, there is such a stigma of like, I have to create my own original thing. If it can be like, if anybody can look at what I've done and say this reminds me of blank, then I'm a failure or something like that. And I hate that mindset.
Oh yeah, I really do too. So that's why it's like, I guess there is something to say about this kind of message, but it also feels bad because it's okay if your ideas aren't that original. You can just create things anyways. Or if you can't create things, that's also fine. Also, this chameleon can literally imitate anybody that it wants. That's pretty heckin' cool.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he's evil sucks.
Yeah, it's more impressive than this rabbit who does poetry.
Yeah. I mean, by a long shot.
Yeah. Yeah,
like, this chameleon has a literal superpower.
He's really impressive. It's just, it sucks that this is played off as like he's a villain or something.
Right.
To talk about a couple of the other characters that exist in this movie, because, again, I barely mentioned anyone in this movie because it keeps flip-flopping between characters all the time.
Right.
There's a very effeminate rabbit guy who does poetry, and he has a bug girlfriend, and these two are disasters. So the chameleon in one of the scenes comes in and pretends to be the rabbit and tells the bug girlfriend that she sucks and to go away. And so she just walks off crying because she is like frail as can be emotionally. And I'm sorry for her. Yeah. And then he turns around and pretends to be the bug and beats the ever-loving crap out of the rabbit. So the rabbit then decides that he needs to end his life by jumping off a cliff.
Yeah.
This movie is...
They stop him from doing it.
Like, this movie feels like it's made for, like, 10-year-olds at most. And then it does things like dump dead bodies in lakes and have characters jump off cliffs to kill themselves and things like that. And dissolve the bad guy in water. So, like, it has a little bit of tonal whiplash, but overall, it feels like it knows what it wants to do, but it's just like, it goes hard for no reason.
It's like, that escalated really quickly.
The bug girlfriend also has her own granny who helps take care of the eagle children by taking care of them, which is important because the general townsfolk, which is mostly run by like 3 angry, bitter spider people that hate each other, decide to rouse a rabble and say that they're all full of disease and they need to be thrown out of town because they're not like us and they're bad and they're bringing foreign diseases into our country.
Right.
Like, I gotta say, the whole thing with the eagles and people not liking them, and also the chameleon to that extent, feels very nationalist, like anti-immigration type stuff.
Well, but on like, I think the movie is on their side. Oh, well, not the chameleon side, but the eagle side.
Oh, absolutely. The movie is, like, saying people that are anti-immigration are wrong.
Right.
It's okay. It's a good thing to invite new, different people into your, like, livelihood in your town
your
and
communities.
Stuff. Yeah, like, so the movie itself is absolutely pro-immigration and stuff like that, and being nice to people that aren't like you.
Right.
Which is a great message. That's a good message. The less good message is, like, I feel like the chameleon is some sort of representation of the Red Scare, where, like, there's sleeper agents that are just pretending to be your friends.
Yeah.
Or
and that
something.
might be way reading into it
I feel
too
like
much.
I'm probably reading into that part too much. That's just, like, what my mind went to.
Right, because that's an American mindset
that's
looking
a very
at it.
American mindset. I don't know if Russian countries had this... Russian countries. European countries had this mindset as well, because this is in Poland.
Right.
Which...
I don't know what the politics of Poland were in the late 1970s.
Yeah, like late 1970s, because this came out in 1980.
Right.
So, like, I don't know how they were feeling about stuff like that.
Right.
So I could obviously be reaching with my particular mindset.
Especially when, overall it seems to just be kind of going for the message of, like, that chameleon is no good because he can't think of anything original by himself or anything like that. Like, that's a very basic kids message.
Which is a very silly message.
Yeah, it is.
We had a friend in high school, and they were able to... Like, we called them the human copy machine, because they were able to, like, just look at a picture in a book and then emulate it perfectly.
And no one thought that was wrong. We were all like, yo, that's awesome.
That's really heckin' cool.
Yeah.
So, like, that was a really cool skill. I think it's actually very impressive for people that can emulate something else extremely well.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you have more information for us?
I do. So, this was directed by the author of the book.
Oh, so it is based on a book.
Yes, it's
Okay.
based on a book that was written in 1978. This author, I'm going to try and pronounce the name, but... Yeah. Message? Tolsko?
I actually do know that the C is actually pronounced as like a CH, so it's be more Machich, maybe.
Maybe?
That's probably closer.
Yeah. Yeah. But he was a director, a writer, an actor. He worked in both film, theater, television. He wrote novels and children's books.
He did everything. I bet he's very popular.
Well, yeah, exactly. In 2002, he was awarded the Knight's Cross of the Order of the Rebirth of Polish. It has a shorter name
I can only
in
assume
Poland.
that. I can only assume that sounds better in Polish.
But, like, it's an honorary award for, like, any citizens or outsiders who make big contributions to basically anything that...
To the benefit of Poland that they think is worthy of it.
Exactly.
Well, that's
and
really
he
cool.
was awarded it specifically for outstanding contribution to Polish culture.
So, like, it sounds like something very similar to how British people can get knighted by the Queen because they're cool and popular or whatever.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah. Well, that's great. I'm glad for them.
Yeah. This film is definitely not listed among one of their, like, higher achievements or anything. It just seems like kind of a little pet project he did because he liked to dip his hands into everything.
Well, I can get down for people that like to do a lot of different things all the time.
Me too!
I wonder if that's because that's what we do.
Yeah, no, I was reading this guy's biography and I was just like, yeah, dude, you're living the life. Like, he was a theater guy. He originally started off doing theater and I was like, yep, I relate to that. And then he moved on to, like, film and directing and I was like, yeah, I love that. Love to see it. And then, like, he dabbled in children's books and animation and I'm like, cool. And he's still alive and kicking. According to his Wikipedia page, he's like 76 right now.
Okay,
So I'm like, yeah, cool. Good for this guy.
He might not be making and creating stuff.
He might be just retired at this point.
But, like, it sounds like he deserves it.
Yeah.
Sounds like he did a lot.
Did a lot of cool things.
Well, good for that guy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I don't know how to pronounce your name.
Yeah, me neither. I try. Okay, so hold on. Editing us here. We recorded this review, and then we ended up having a listener contact us about this movie when we announced it on the previous week's Animation Pilgrimage. So we actually have some additional information to share with you guys now.
Yes. So who gave us this information?
Thank you, Mache, for sending us all the additional info here.
Mache?
Mache.
For some reason, I wanted to say it was Machi.
Mache.
Okay.
I looked up a name translator
Okay.
on Google
Okay.
and I inputted the name into Polish, so I I think I have some... I think I'm saying these names correctly now.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for this additional information. This is the first time I'm hearing it.
Yes. Okay, so... Turns out that most Polish animated films were actually written with TV in mind throughout the 70s and 80s. So this was one of those films that was written both as a movie, a book, and a TV series kind of all around the same time.
Oof, okay.
Yeah. So, first came the TV series. The TV series was 10 episodes done in 1976, and then in 1979, 1980, they were edited together to make a movie. And the movie was actually, according to the director and author, was more so of a chance to kind of like redo it and make it all better.
Okay.
So a lot of things were changed in between the episodes and the movie itself. There was a lot of new backgrounds added, a lot of scenes were reanimated, there was a lot of cuts made to repeat dialogue that kind of like gave exposition if you missed the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was also some like action scenes added to the film. And that makes sense to me because watching this, I definitely didn't notice that, like, because usually when something is a TV movie, like episodes chopped together to be a movie, you can tell that, like, you know, the animation's different, characters might be slightly more off-model in one episode versus another, that kind of thing, but I didn't really notice that a whole lot here.
Okay.
So this was then edited together to be a film, and in between, after the movie was written and edited, then the book was written.
That is just... It feels such a weird way to go about it.
Well, and to make things even stranger is that the movie is based on the illustrations done by... oh shoot, this is the one name I didn't look up. Grazna Deluznuska.
Sure.
And their illustrations for all these characters is what like makes up the basis for this movie.
Okay.
So, to answer one of our questions we had earlier, most of these creatures are not supposed to necessarily be animals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are just kind of weird things.
Yeah, so for example, one of the creatures, Puchik, I think is his name, is a creature that lives inside time. You can't see him today, only tomorrow or yesterday. So it's this kind of like abstract, it reminds me a little of like Dr. Seuss kind of, or a Roald Dahl kind of statement where it's like kind of nonsense and abstract, but it's delivered very dryly, like it's very just matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that kind of humor and, you know.
Yeah.
So that explains why we don't recognize what some of these creatures are supposed to be.
Yeah.
these characters did first appear in books from 1975. And what's funny is that these books usually center on Bramba, the mole-like lady.
Oh, okay, the pink thing.
Yeah. She's usually like the main character.
Okay.
In most of the books. The first book was like Bramba and Others.
Okay.
And the cat, previous lore on the cat, is that he has actually been reformed by the detective because the cat used to be a criminal.
Ah, enemies to lovers.
Enemies to lovers. We love to see it. And then one of the last big notes that Maciej found for us is that this movie actually has a pretty famous voice cast of actors in Poland. So it has Jerzy Bonzak, Wiktor Zaborski, and Irina Kowalkowska.
I'm not even going to attempt any of these names.
As some of the people who voice acted in this film. And I think that's neat. Yeah. Apparently, especially Irina was a pretty well-known comedian, and she plays the like old lady turtle in the film, so that makes sense.
That's a turtle?
Well, turtle, bug
thing?
Whatever she is.
Okay.
You know.
Alright.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that was neat. And again, lots of extra info here, so thank you so much, Maciej, for giving all this to us. I'm glad that we could put this in at the end of the episode.
Absolutely.
Oh, they also sent along some illustrations from the original book, so I'll probably have those shown here as well, because they're really nice.
Well, either way, again, that was an enjoyable film, and like for Poland's first foray into animation, it's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right. It could be better, but that's okay.
I think I would enjoy it more if I knew Polish, and I was able to just like hear it in its original language and understand that, because the translation was just getting me by. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate the translation. It's
for sure.
There were definitely parts that I was missing what was going on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And either way, join us back here next time as we go back to South Korea as we watch another Sunwoo Entertainment film. We are going to be watching 15 Children's Space Adventure.
Wow. 15 children, huh?
15 children.
That's a lot of children.
I hope they're not all main cast members.
I hope so too.
See you then.
Bye-bye.
Czy lubisz western, czy sensację, czy zwykłą światoobserwację? Zapraszam do mnie bez wątpienia, tu najszczęśliwsze zakończenia.